Okay, so good morning everyone. Now today we're going to have this topic now, effects of environment on the life cycle of organisms. So this is now the part 2. Okay, part 2 na ni siya. Okay, so we had done with to mga ano no, mga availability resources about limiting factors. So we're done with those things no, defining limiting factors unsa tong limiting factors no nga kung asa kung lack ang resources. So this could affect the tawag na to ani katong mga sa mga animals na makaapekto na siya sa life cycle sa product sa ilang pag reproduce no sa ilang pagpadaghan. Okay, sa ang environment, so na mga factors pod nga kinahanglan i-consider no sa ilahang growth and development sa mga animals no. So that's what diha na to i-continue ang ato ang topic no this time. So let's start with itong mga factors. Okay, so itong mga factors, so katong mga light, water, soil, temperature, environmental contaminants, and competition affect how individuals will develop and complete their life cycle. Okay, light no is a significant environmental factor for the development of an organisms. It lies on the fact that all organisms are dependent on sunlight as a source of energy. So most of the organisms no or all organisms are dependent to sunlight. Okay, most especially plants depend on sunlight for preparing its food and release of oxygen in the process known as photosynthesis, thus making it a very important factor to consider during development and completing its life cycle no. Labi na sa mga plants no, they really need light no for photosynthesis, for their growth and development. Okay, next we have the temperature. Temperature varies seasonally and it also decreases from the equator towards the pole. Okay, so seasonally. So sa isa ka area, there's a time that tingtugnaw, there's a time nga extreme kayong init, so makaapekto na sa life cycle sa mga organisms. The temperature of a certain habitat such as thermal spring or pools dictates what type of organisms can be present. No, example ani sa mga Sahara desert or sa mga deserto. Okay, most of the organisms that could survive there ang katong mga plants and animals that could adapt no in that area no sa mga savanna, sa mga tugnaw po no sa labi na sa mga ice nga mga lugar. So na mga specific pod na mga organisms ang kaya dito mo-adapt o kaya dito mabuhi. Okay, on its effect on life cycle of organisms, temperature can affect the chemical processes happening within the organisms. It can affect the reproduction in some species of lizards no by dictating in its sex no. For plants, temperature can control the rate of photosynthesis by affecting water loss. Okay, next is water no. Life on earth originated in water no. So ang kinabuhi sa earth no, it's originated in water no. The productivity and distribution of plants is highly dependent on water. Okay, so nakadepende sa tubig no. For fishes, the presence of water and its temperature can create alteration on the rate of growth. Also, the presence of salt in the water limit the type of organisms who could complete its life cycle within that environment. Perfect example for this is the migration of salmon during spawning. Salmon only migrate twice during their lifespan. First, these fish travel from the freshwater river where they were born to the ocean. No, when they reach adulthood, salmon returns to their original habitat to lay their eggs. Completion of life cycle of organisms in a certain habitat depends on their tolerance on water temperature, amount of salt present, and the acidity or alkalinity of the water. Freshwater animals cannot live in sea water and vice versa. So there are sea creatures or mga sea animals who will live in fresh water for the meantime and go back to the salt water, because if they stay longer in fresh water, maybe it could affect their ability to reproduce, no, their ability to survive. So mo nang mobalik sila dito sa salt water kay dito man sila naanad. And then also there are some sea creatures or sea animals who could not live sa salt water, no, dili nila kaya sa salt water. Or there are also vice versa, no, there are also sea sea animals who could not live longer in fresh water. Okay, soil, no? So ang soil, okay, the soil is soil is important for sustaining nutrients and other minerals to the plants. So be very important kidding soil, no? It sustain nutrients and other minerals. This serves as one of the primary requirements for the growth and development of terrestrial plants. So kanang soil, it is a primary requirement, no, it is for a plants to grow, for an organism to survive, no, kinahanglan niya og soil, no, where he could get the nutrients. Without this component, photosynthesis and other processes in plants will not continue. Yes, no, that's right. Okay, kung wala soil, so wala gihapon, no, in plants. In animals, grazers highly dependent on soil for nutrition. No, ruminants like cattle and horses depends on grasses for food. No, most importantly, life cycle of soil organisms like worms and centipedes takes place in soil. Without this habitat, these organisms might not be able to continue its existence. So kung wala na sila, dili gihapon, no, dili gihapon sila mo exist. Characteristics of the soil that could affect life cycle of organisms are water holding capacity. So because there are soil nga sobra dili siya mahutdan og tubig, no? Mao pod na siya dili pod limited lang pod ang mabuhi diha. And then napoy mga soil na dili siya makahold og tubig, no? So dili gyapon mabuhi gyapon ang organisms. So magdepende, no? Magdepende sa composition, sa grain size and sa aggregation. These characteristics determine which type of plants that can grow in a particular habitat and the type of animals that feed on them. For the cause of aquatic environment, the bottom portion of the lakes and oceans contain soil that determine the type of animals that can live there, no? So na mga dili tanan soil or land area pwede siya matamnan because probably dili mabuhi diha. No, environmental contaminants. So kining environmental contaminants, no, human activities can harm and destroy the environment. No, is it true? The presence of several environment contaminants such as pesticides, fertilizers, and other chemicals can also cause harmful effects to organisms. So kanang mga activities, no, mga human activities, no, for example, kanang sa fishing, no, or kanang mga basic na transportation sa barko. Okay, nagka-oil spill ang barko, so it could affect, no, it could pollute the water, no, and it could affect the environment. It could affect the quality of water, no, nga ginapuy-an sa mga sea animals, and also katong mga nagtukod og mga buildings, no, sa mga resort, no, nga pwede gyapon siya katong ilahang mga kung dili nila ma-manage ang ilahang waste, so possibly dito maadto tong mga hugaw, and then it could affect the fishes, no, or not just the fishes but the other organisms living in water. Okay, in developing plant and animals, including humans, overexposure to these compounds can cause alteration in the development of these organisms. No, structural changes or diseases can happen, and that inhibit successful completion of life cycle in organisms. The effect of contaminants is not limited to terrestrial habitats. No, dili lang kay sa mga bukid-bukid, but also sa mga water bodies. No, wind can this also sa mga hangin pod, no, so pwede pod, no, katong mga contamination, no, katong mga dili maayo nga mga pollution from the pesticides or from the chemical based products, pag makakuan sa hangin, posible na siya magdala og sakit, posible magdala og sakit sa mga animals and then sa other organisms. Okay, so competition, okay, it occurs when the resources in the environment are limited. No, kung ang resources sa environment is limited, so it could affect the organisms. No, when one organism takes place a certain resource, the other does not Plants and animals compete for space in a habitat. No, for example, in forest, short trees compete for sunlight with tall trees. Because of this, short trees have shorter lifespan than tall trees. So, example, ano, no? Ang mga plants, okay, they will compete, no, to get sunlight. So that's why if you go to forest na yung mga gagmay diha na mga plants or na yung mga gagmay diha na mga or wala kayong turok or wala kayong dako nga mga plants because in competition nagansi sila sa competition, and then other animals, no, labi na tong mga mukaon og mga leaves, no, mga grasses, so sila ang maabot, no, maabot og kaon kay gamay raman sila, no, mga hurot ilang leaves. So and then that's a competition, no, so ingon na ang mahitabo. So these are the key points. And then what happens to the population of living things if basic resources are lacking? So ang mahitabo diha, it decreases, no, mugamay ang population. Okay? So na mga animals nga nagdagamay na ilang population, no? And then how human activities can harm and destroy the environment. The answer is improper using of chemicals such as fertilizers and pesticides. So karang improper using of chemicals, no, it could cause damage to the environment. Okay, so next, no, what is the direct effect of natural disasters on the life cycle of plants and animals? So what is the direct effect of natural disasters on the life cycle of plants and animals? So they lose their habitat, no? Kung naay mga natural disasters, so it could damage and the habitat of the animals and other organisms, no, maguba. Okay, it occurs when the resources in the environment are limited, so competition. Okay. Next, now this serve as one of the primary requirements for the growth and development of terrestrial plants. So that is soil. Okay, the primary requirements for the growth and development of terrestrial plants is soil. Okay, how will you describe limiting factors? No, to describe that one, no, this is how to describe limiting factors. Those things that could inhibit increase in population of organisms, no, inhibit, no, those things that could affect the increase of population, the increase of numbers of organisms in a certain area. Next, no, a significant environmental factor for the development of an organism. So, ang light, okay, pinaka-significant na siya sa mga sa organisms, no? How to protect the habitat of animals, no, by using proper methods in utilizing chemical-based products and other activities that could harm and destroy the environment. So that's the best thing to do to protect the habitat of animals. No, we have to use methods, no, proper methods in using chemical-based products, no, and then also we could other activities that would harm and destroy the environment. So kana mga habitats sa mga animals, we could help them, no, by using methods and proper, no, proper utilization of chemical-based products. Okay, next, no. So how will you help the animals living in water to increase their population? Avoid throwing chemicals and dynamite that may cause destruction to their homes. So kana siya ang maitabang gid nato. Okay, how do epidemic diseases affect the life cycle of animals? No, it kills the animals affected. So mao na siya, no, and that's how the effect of environment to the life cycle of organisms. So thank you and God bless.